Michael. How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you, the wonderful Janina?
And the wonderful Michael. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate your time, and welcome to everybody here. We are at Lifestyle Toronto, where we talk to entrepreneurs and business owners and community leaders about operating in the somewhat challenging times and their perspectives. I'd like to introduce Michael. And Michael is a colleague of mine, and he is also a top 30 under 30. He's a very, very accomplished realtor, and it is my pleasure to have you here today. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you, Michael. So
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. I was gonna say it's always like a pleasure collaborating with Janina. We actually first met, me and Janina. We did a transaction together out in Durham region, and it was a really challenging sale. So I listed that property and it backed on the cemetery, and the seller prospect says, Michael, we've given several agents a chance to sell it. Would you consider trying to sell it? Trying to sell it, but no, Michael. There's this big challenge with this property. It backs in the cemetery. I don't know if you can do it. So I listed the property, and thankfully, Janina came around with that solid buyer, and I was so impressed by the way Janina just handled the whole transaction. She was professional. She was working for her client's best interest, and then I think a couple years afterwards, then I reached out to Janina to potentially be colleagues, and here we are. We're growing together. We're on trainings together. We're masterminding together, and she's always got a nice, positive attitude and bringing like a good energy about her. So let's hopefully provide some good value for the audience here. And I think we got a chat box. So if there's any questions, we can nail down to them, or however Janina, you want that handled. If there's anything at the end or throughout.
Well, thank you for all those lovely words, and please forgive my dog in the background. I hope he's not causing too much of a problem. I've tried to put him back there, but he really just wants to be in here. And excuse me, just one second.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So anyway, yes, and the way you handled that transaction actually is one of the reasons why you were so successful. By the time you were 24, you had really achieved a pinnacle of success by that point in time, and so having had that kind of success, but you have a background that I can say is kind of all in the family.
Right. Like Gina was saying, I got into the business at a very young age. People have a joke like Michael was born beside a fax machine because my parents have been top realtors since the day I was born. And what happened was, age 21, I actually got in the business. Now and now it's been in the business for a while. And my first couple of years, because I came from a background of not only knowing how the transaction is handled, but also from a background of knowing how to generate leads, talk with prospective buyers and sellers, and to duplicate that process. Yeah, I'm very, very fortunate. At the same time, it's not going to happen without hard work, and Janina will tell you that I'll put in the work and being a good influence, hopefully, for everyone around me.
Well, for sure, absolutely. And having said that, I know you bring that expertise and that knowledge from your family and from your hard work and your results and your successes. How would you say that that relates to today's market, and what would you say is relevant to today's market? I know we're all in a shifting market right now, and
Yeah, great. Yeah, and that's a great question. So pertaining to this market, what makes this market shift very unusual to other shifts that we've had experienced, going back to, of course, like 2008, 2017, mid 2017, 18 here in the Greater Toronto area. Anyway, was is in this market now we have inflation, we have higher interest rates, but we also have low unemployment. And so if you watch the market and look at North America, all markets have come down considerably, but pretty much from February, March, and they've come down in terms of like the average price. All the signs of the market shifting from a seller's market to a potential buyer's market, meaning the common signs of that are increased inventory. So more homes up for sale. As you notice, and you drive around, suddenly there's open house signs,
yeah.
right? Which is good for buyers. And the days on market has, of course, lengthened. And the days on market it's a very good stat. The DOM, as maybe you've seen in videos, or of course I make market update videos. It's how long it takes a property to sell. So over the past couple of years, anyway, we've been accustomed to seeing like days on market between 7 to 10 days. And
Mhm.
now we're in stretches 19, 30 days. Very often agents are listing property for a month, and if it's not selling, then they're having to make a price correction. And it's very interesting for buyers, because buyers are looking at properties and they're thinking, okay, prices have come down. However, does it make sense to pull the trigger now, or could prices further decrease? Right?
Absolutely. Would you say that's one of the challenges of operating in this market that you're experiencing yourself?
That's a great question. Um, I'm enjoying this market in many ways, because what so is now, for example, when we have seller prospects, or we know, or there's buyer prospects, there's enough motivation for them to actually do something. I'm sure that you would agree, in especially last year, beginning this year, there were so many sellers that were just, they would list their property and pray that they got a premium home price, and it was like, Michael, if you can
Yeah.
sell my house for a million or 1.5 or 500,000, well then I'll sell it, without any desire to sell or be downsized. So now when there's a seller prospect, we know there's a sincere reason for them to want to move, which of course I'm enjoying. It all starts with the mindset. We're here to help. We're here to help in a slow market, a seller's market, a buyer's market. And the best thing that we can do is just provide the most data and help people make a logical conclusion to everything. Because for buyers, many times they're acting on emotion, or they're acting based on whatever misinformation that they've heard, perhaps from friends or family members, or something that they've read. We don't believe everything that we read, and we shouldn't. And when
Yes.
it really comes down to actually number crunching, like, I get right down to the numbers with my clients. I look at potentially how much would they be paying a month on a mortgage. Okay, how has that changed over the past few months? And can you see that it really makes sense, because prices have decreased? And for the buyers out there that are trying to time the market, I'm sorry, in 99% of cases, it just doesn't work. You may as well go to Casino Niagara, gamble your money away.
Well, and that's it exactly. You know, you can't time the stock market and you can't time the real estate market. You just know in the real estate market, particularly in the Toronto and GTA area, historically prices just continue to go up, regardless of the little dips along the way. So yeah, yeah. Now you mentioned that you deal with you review all the numbers with your clients. Do you say that there's a balance between lowering prices and increasing rates?
And you mean like with respect to like the monthly payment?
Yeah, yeah. And how do buyers do they understand that, or what are they?
Like in most cases, first, of course, I'm not a mortgage broker. I ensure that I connect them with a good mortgage broker, either one of my own or somebody perhaps that they've been in communication with. And they're already, in most cases, they've either gotten a pre-approval now, or they've gotten a pre-approval about of maybe a year ago, perhaps if they were in the market back then. So they can just reflect back on those numbers. And what's important is, first of all, they're going to need money for a down payment, right? They're
Yeah,
going to need money for a
it's,
deposit check.
yeah.
Those things haven't changed. And it's not so important that you get in the market like right now, the way that I'm seeing anyway, is it's not so important that you get in the market like in a few months or now, or try to time things, but there's more of an importance of understanding what properties you may be able to purchase below market value, because there's properties which are sitting out there on the market. Janine, I'm sure you'd agree, 2 months on the market, right? And so if the buyer has a great agent that is working on their behalf, then they can potentially negotiate a really good deal on that property, right?
Yeah, for sure, and that offsets the increased rates for sure. So,
Yeah.
what would you give? What advice would you give to new agents, whether young or more seasoned, but new agents in the business, relative to this market now?
Yeah, sure. That and hey, that's great. If you are a new realtor, I have a lot of respect for you. I have a soft spot, of course, for agents, being that I was a young agent, and at one point, and my father made the decision of, Michael, I'm not giving you any leads. You need to generate business for yourself, which of course any son can be a little bit upset, and where are all the leads? Where are they supposed to come from? It doesn't make sense. And so coming from that background, starting off in the business, like I mentioned, not necessarily having a good circle of influence that I could depend on for business, I needed to learn how to generate leads. So for new agents out there, I would really put a lot of thought into okay, where is the business going to come from? Here's the great thing: it's 2020. You can pick and choose your lead sources. if you see yourself perhaps doing more of social media and getting behind camera like I'm doing now, you can do that. Or if you're somebody that just enjoys going outside and knocking on doors and meeting people face to face and feeling their energy, then of course you can do that. So I I advise agents to follow to make a business plan to start. Choose 2 or 3 lead sources. It's never good putting all your eggs in one basket, and then follow like a daily plan. And it'll
Mhm,
really be easier when you have a mentor or a coach or a good environment of people that are doing similar activities.
mhm.
And most importantly, even before that, it starts with a mindset of, are you doing this for a hobby or are you doing this to make a living? Because
Yeah,
if you really treat this business like there is no plan B, I promise you there's a greater chance that you'll see success. I'm sure, Janina, you would agree with that. And I would love to hear your thoughts too, Janina, because you've been like how many years now have you been selling? Would you say?
uh, close to 10 years, but
Right.
so there's lots of challenges in this business, that's for sure. But tell me,
And
how would you say your experiences? Have you found any unusual experiences, or what would surprise you in your business career as a realtor?
what surprised me in my business career? Great question. Just first, for the sake of the audience, Gina, because I don't think that you give yourself enough credit. You're one of the most hardest working people I know. You'll go a distance for your clients. So what advice would you give to potentially like either newer agents or newer agents experiencing this market shift? Perhaps they've been in the business for a few years.
Um, Interesting that you're asking me the question, Michael.
Yes.
But I would tell people to join a team. On a new agents, I would tell them to join a team. I think that's probably one of the best ways to get started in this business.
Very nice.
The
Okay.
business that has a within 2 years, 80% of the people are gone, and within 5 years, even of the remaining 20%, another 80% are gone. So there's a very high attrition rate. So I think joining a team is probably the best way to mitigate that. But tell me, you joined Remax when you first started, uh,
Right.
and it's a great brokerage and so forth. I mean, there's a lot of great brokerages out there, but you have now moved. So how did you feel, and why did you feel you should move over and take your organization to where you are now?
Yeah, that's another great just point of conversation. There's so much to say, but the shorter version we can say is yes. I did start off at Remax, and I was there for 7 years, and then ultimately I wanted to change, and I couldn't help but notice that I was looking at this specific brokerage, EXP Realty, and
Mhm.
the more I looked at it, the harder it became to say no.
Oh,
And
really? Why is that?
that's a great question because of the fact that really where I was, the support was good, the training was good up to a certain level, and the training was more so designed for how to grow agents to become a producer selling 30 homes a year, for instance, let's say. But because I sold 30, 50 plus homes a year, I've as a solo agent, I listed I could list my best month. I took 14 as a solo agent.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it came to the point that of course I hired a full-time assistant, had them working at that Remax office. I wanted to expand, and if you just look at EXP, it made sense in the sense of EXP solved a lot of problems for level one agents if I were to bring on a new agent to my team, but then also level three challenges in terms of hiring an assistant, training an assistant, level five challenges, building an actual team. And I couldn't help but notice there were so many influential agents on social media with EXP. And when I got to learn there was all this training for social media, as much as I love Remax to death, I love my Remax brothers and sisters, there wasn't too much education out there for social media specifically. And I started gravitating towards EXP. And then eventually I told my manager at Remax, EXP is a month to month. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'll call you in a few months and tell you if I'll be back. Maybe there's a chance I will, since EXP was relatively unheard of. This was March 2020, just when COVID started. But 3 months later, I called my manager. I said, I can't believe how happy I am. It's actually exceeded my expectation. And then the rest is history. And I think you came on, Janina, like several months afterwards.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And
All
I'm
right.
happy with the move. I realized that I didn't need bricks and mortar, and that there's a great community and a great support
Yeah,
group.
you were with, I think you were with Royal LePage when I did the deal with you, and then you were at Keller Williams,
Yeah,
and then you switched over to EXP.
that's right. And when I realized, as I say, it was the beginning of COVID, and I realized that the whole world was going virtual, and that's really
Oh,
where
COVID. Wow.
yeah,
COVID shocked everyone. Yeah,
sure
it's
did. And the world's different now. It's going to go back a little bit, but we'll never go back to what it was pre-COVID. But you mentioned social media was one of the big reasons that you moved over to EXP. So tell me, where do you see social media fitting into real estate and real estate transactions going forward?
that, yeah. So this is such a great point because social media has become like an integral part of our business, every other business. Let's face it, in most cases, let's say we're flying out somewhere. Let's say if I were to hop on a plane and I landed in and I landed in Chicago, I'm looking for a restaurant, somewhere to go, somewhere for fun. We're looking on Google, we're looking at reviews, and the same thing is going to happen with agents.
Yes.
And I'm very like I still have a coach. I've always had coaches, and they kept on telling me what was working with agents across the GTA, across North America. They were all very heavy on social media. So the important thing is to really have an online presence. As
Mhm.
good as you may be at picking up the phone or knocking on doors, we're in 2022. Buyers and sellers are going to look you up. So the more information you have out there, the more social media outlets that you're on, the more content that you're putting out, the better you can establish a better relationship with that prospective client.
Hmm.
Right?
And what advice would you have for agents looking to get onto social media?
Great
Yes.
question. I will. The honest answer is join me at EXP because I put everything out on the playbook for you. I give instructions as far as how you can succeed with each platform because every platform has its pros, it has its cons. Like YouTube, for example, is a full-time job, as you know, with the equipment and getting the video editor. As far as I would keep things very, very simple in the sense of choose two platforms to start. Facebook and Instagram being very good because you can post on Instagram and put the same thing on Facebook. Build up your friend list. Don't have this mindset of I don't want to have so many friends. Like if you're really aspiring to be a great agent, you're gonna have to talk to a lot of people, right? Meet a lot of people. So you're well, what did I say? Choose two platforms, add more friends. You need people there, and then start to post content. The main thing is don't it's a mindset of don't be too in your head of what you should post. Just post something. People
Oh,
need to see you. You have to be top of mind. I've and there's so much to be said about that. Now, as much as posting content is important, what a big mistake I see people making is they are not spending time engaging with their followers, engaging with their friends. They should be definitely just scheduling 15 to 30 minutes during their day to scroll down their feed, give people not only likes, write comments, wish people happy birthday. The better thing is to call them on the phone because not just call them, wish them happy birthday. We can see Facebook all the birthdays, so that's in my daily practice. I call everyone on their birthday, and they love it. Right? We're in the people business at the end of the day, and so social media is a way that will it will do your cold calling for you. You can say, right? Like they say, if you read a great book by Gary Keller, The $1 Million Real Estate Agent, for example,
yes.
he says it's all about touches. How many touches are you touching or how many times are you touching a prospective client a year? You can call them perhaps 4 times a year, but you can also put them on an email list. But once they're on your social media, you can post content several times a week. Then we're talking 50, 100 touches
Oh,
every
yeah.
year.
I was seeing you. I always seeing you. But you know what? You mentioned like you set aside 15, 30 minutes, whatever, to scroll through social media.
Mm,
As we all know, social media can be a very big time uh,
yes.
distraction. Let's put it that way. Um, what productivity hacks? I mean, that flows right into productivity. What productivity hacks would you have
No,
for?
right, because I love productivity hacks. It's the best leverage you can get on yourself. So there's an actual Chrome extension called Newsfeed Eradicator, and what that will do is every time you go on your social media, it actually removes your whole newsfeed, and you
Oh,
can turn that on and off. It actually replaces it with inspirational quote. That's pretty cool. So the daily habit of you're putting that in your schedule. It comes down to having a productive schedule. Nobody's going to be 100% on their schedule, and that's okay. You don't beat yourself up. My coach told me even if you're 50% on your schedule, you're on the right track and you're better than most people. It's important you just have some sort of framework, right?
Oh, you know what,
So,
Michael, I really like that because we tend to, as realtors have a lot on our plates and, trying to
mm,
fit the end of the day, and at the end of the day, you sometimes feel like, oh, geez, I didn't really get anything accomplished. But if you look back at it and say, I got 50% done, you're saying that's not too bad.
There you go. That's right, Janina. Give yourself a pat on the back. So the so the important thing is the night before, because your day starts the night before. It's not in the morning. It starts the night before. At least you have some sort of idea of what the next day is going to look like.
Sure.
Which we all have to lower the number of thoughts we have so we can be more productive and be more focused, and that helps with it. So a newsfeed eradicator, that one's great. And generally, I don't typically scroll through my feed during the daytime. If anything, maybe in the evening when I'm like a little bit more relaxed, because you're right, not only is there distractions, but most of the time social media, it's not going to be as positive as we would like it to be. It's only natural. We see accomplished people, we see people posting beautiful pictures of themselves with six-pack abs, and we're like, why aren't we like that, right? So the general principle is to create more than you consume.
That's
My
good.
question for our viewers: are you a consumer or are you a creator? Because most of the times I'm going on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube during the day, it's to post something. I go in there, I try to not look at my feed, I post something, and I am getting out. Right?
Yeah, good advice. Just accomplish what your goal is, and get on to the next task.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me, it sounds to me like you have a very busy schedule and that you are very disciplined in terms of sticking to your schedule. How do you fit in personal time or
Hmm.
fitness time in your
What do
every?
you, Yeah, first, I'm not as busy as people think I am. It just may appear like that if you look at my social media. Like, people know me for posting 20 stories a day. I'm
Yeah.
on, I'm on. I've been consistently posting on YouTube twice a month at least, for the past 6 years. For instance, of course, Facebook. It comes down, of course, to working from an actual plan, so I know when I'm posting. And then, as far as offsetting work for me, it comes down to, if you've all heard of the 80-20 principle,
Mhm.
20% of the activities that you do will produce 80% of the outcome, or 80% of the results. And that can be said with everything in life. That can not only be said in like a business practice. For example, if you prospect, that's your 20%, which is going to pay you 80% of the time. But also, from a nutritional perspective, 20% of the foods you eat are going to supply you with the vitamins and minerals that you want. So when you have that mindset and you put it in a business practice, you learn that you need to delegate, because you cannot do everything by yourself,
Mm,
right? And so if you just simply take a sheet of paper and write down, what are the things that I should not be doing that I am doing that somebody else can be doing at $10 an hour or $5 an hour, because I have like a virtual assistant company, you can say, that does a lot of this work for me, as far as data entry, creating my videos, creating my social media content. They actually scrape my email messages, text messages, Facebook messages, so they can point out the important things that I have to respond to. You're able to work more intelligently with your time.
that's
And I would much rather spend my time talking to someone like you, Janina, who can lift me up. And you're just like a great, like a great person to always be around. So I think everybody can, delegate. You don't need money necessarily to do it. I asked my mom, like, I'm so grateful, of course, growing up with parents who are selling houses, and I said, Mom, like, how did you do it? You were selling so many houses, like you were selling way more houses than the average agent in the Greater Toronto area. How did you do it while raising 3 kids?
right.
And my mom says, I got the most help I could get. Friends, neighbors, eventually being having me in a daycare. We all need help, and once we admit that, we have that heart to heart to ourselves, we're comfortable asking for help, then the sky's the limit. And I remember, like, yeah, the carpooling with some of my neighbors, for example, and my mom just like managing her business and life very, very efficiently. Then at the same time, we want for all of you, people, or for any viewers that are watching and you have kids, you want to spend time with them. So I would love it if you could sell some houses and actually get some help around the house, hire a house cleaner. I know a really sharp gal that, she has somebody cook all of her meals, so that when she comes home from work, she's not spending her time cooking and cleaning and stuff. She's really enjoying present time with her kids, and I think it's very admirable.
And really the epitome of delegation, right? Just
Yeah,
seeing where your efforts are most profitably directed.
right.
So I want to be respectful of your time, Michael. And so I have a couple of questions for you here. Um, what would you consider, like, I mean, you're very outgoing and you're very
Hmm.
personal, and on your videos, you can see that you're very giving and all this. So would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I see myself as an introvert. Maybe I come across like an extrovert, but that's because everything is trained as far as using body language, having tone inflections. To give you all perspective, I did my 4 years doing finance at University of Toronto, and it cannot be as introverted as that. To the point is like there's really no group work. You are number crunching. You are by yourself. It is not a party school, if that makes sense. And then so coming into this business, I accepted the fact that it was going to be uncomfortable, but I was a very fortunate, of course. I not only had my parents, but I also got a business coach, and I was held to that level of accountability. And then you understand, like, introvert, and I really mean this, introverts make the best salespeople, especially
Really?
long term. Yeah.
Uh,
I find that they're more likely able to manage their time. They're more likely to be disciplined, to actually be alone, study, follow a specific process. It's been my experience. I've seen extroverts get in the business. It seems like the first few years they can definitely, they're on a launch pad and they can do very well from the get go. But after 3 to 4 years, I've often seen, and this is not everyone, of course. There's so many ways we can look at personality test and Myers Briggs and this and that. But I'm just speaking on just a global scale. Very often they cannot spend that alone time to look at, like, okay, what is the business plan, what's it going to be like, and they and structure their business to really get to the next level that way. Because we're not just salespeople, we are business people. And in
mhm.
2022 we need to be organized. There are so many things that you need to do to build a good business practice, as you can see, right?
Well, yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because so many people get into business for themselves, thinking that gives them freedom and time and hopefully money, and they don't really appreciate the amount of work there is. And usually, there's more work than one expects going into business for yourself. So,
100%. Yeah, this
yeah,
isn't it's not an easy business.
mhm,
And if people have the mindset of they're getting in this business because they've seen the $1 million, that
yeah,
show, what's it called? $1 Million Listing, New York, looks very glamorous. Everyone's driving a beautiful car. It's not like it. It's it's not as it looks. But
right,
once you accept the fact and you realize there's no magic formula, that'll take you very far.
yeah,
Because then you understand you're willing to put in the work. You don't really need to be working 24/7. You need to be working on
smart,
perhaps 2 to 3 hours on lead generation. You need to have some sort of structure as far as the day goes. If you're a newer agent, you need to be really mindful of training, education, coaching. Spend time with Janina. Like, ask her the powerful questions. Hey, how do you conduct yourself at an open house? What are the questions you should ask? What are the follow-up strategies? Hey, Michael, what's the best strategy to get seller leads? We're all people that want to help. People will want to help you, but it saddens me actually when people don't ask for help and they're thinking that they're bothering somebody. We all need help, and we've all been there too. And I remember being a new agent, and there was agents, and they were so just kind to show me what worked and what didn't work and where I was wasting my time, and they could sense it. And I learned, like, wow, that's experience for them to tell. There was a listing appointment I went on in Oakville, and I told one of my like partner agents at the time, like, this is what the seller said. I really think I have a good chance. And he told me, Gina, before I went, and it was late too. And I was waking up at 5:30, so late. I mean, it was 8 o'clock, and I was tired. I still went. He says, Michael, that appointment is a waste of time. And I'm thinking, what does he know? I've talked to the seller, but he knew. I went there. It was a waste of time. Right? So respect that, because that comes with experience.
good experience for sure, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds like you've got a lot of experience, and I know you do pass that on. So,
Oh no,
well,
every day we're about still learning, because I asked one of my coaches, and she was very expensive, but at the time, but I knew she had a good track record with building top producers. And I said to her, I said, hey, excuse me, I said, what's the number one common factor between top producing agents? And the word she shared, it was humility. And the best way really to humble yourself is going to be through hard work and through education. And once you think that you know it all, that's it. You are done,
uh,
right?
humility, basically.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah, it is. It is actually. Being able to ask for help and ask for assistance for sure.
Yeah, wanting to learn, like admitting the fact that no matter how good you get, there's always going to be somebody faster, smarter, better, stronger, and you have to humble yourself to just understand you have to be focused on getting 1% better every single day. Because I
That's
don't really see myself as a top agent. Maybe you see me like that. I know there's people doing more. and we all have to be open-minded. And I can assure you that even the top agent, they're trying to learn more. There are people that they are trying to spend their time with. There are specific groups that they want to be with. There are people, of course, they have on their mind that they want to pick their brain, right?
Mm.
So you can
Well,
never feel like you can never really feel like you've made it. You just have to enjoy the journey, never be too hard on yourself, and um, as my friend calls it, be a student of the game.
yeah, that's great. That's great advice. And real estate, well, most businesses, but real estate in particular, there are just so many facets to it that, you know, even if you did learn everything in one aspect of it, there's just so much and so
Oh
many.
yeah, what a great business. We get to do everything. There's no way you can get bored. We're working with buyers, we're working with sellers, we're working in one area. Like anytime you feel burnout or you feel bored, you can just try something different. Try instead of working a farm, try working a different farm, or try going to different areas, or start selling the high end. Start to build a team. Like I feel it's the best industry in the world. Like once you're in it, there's and momentum picks up because it won't pick up straight away. The beginning is going to be a lot of blind faith, but you will really be preaching to everyone. Have you tried getting your license and actually giving it a shot? I'm having a blast every day.
Well, you know what? I can sense your excitement and your enjoyment of this particular field that you've
Oh,
chosen.
yeah, this isn't fake. This is how I am like all the time. You call me in the morning and night. I'm always excited. This is the best career in the world. Gee, it's the best career in the world.
Okay, well,
Really.
that
You
leads
guys
me
will love it.
that leads me into the last question I have for you, which is, if you were not a realtor in the best career
Hmm.
in the world, what would you choose to be?
Great question. Something pertaining to consulting, coaching. I really enjoy helping other people. I enjoy watching people's successes. I love it when I assign homework to do and people like they're doing their homework and they're saying, Michael, this was the challenge I came across. It's like, yes, we're going in the right direction.
Uh-huh.
So consulting, coaching, in some sort of way, because this is it's a lot more fun winning when you're winning with people.
Hmm. Hmm. That's a quote. Should go on your next post.
All right.
Well, Michael, I want to thank you very, very much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you. We all got to know you a little bit better, and for those of us that don't know you, and I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here as we chatted with Michael. And I hope you enjoyed another session of Lifestyle Toronto. And
It was yeah.
if
I'm
you
sorry for interrupting. I was just gonna say, Janine, it was a pleasure. I'm seeing you on our group training calls anyway throughout the week, but having this like one-on-one privilege on camera is it's great as always. And
thank you, Michael.
thanks for of course your contribution, everyone. Janina is just doing this from her heart. I didn't know the agenda of this call, but her basic goal was to give value to the people, give value to the audience, and that's that's
Thank you.
that's Janina for you. So that's great, and keep that up because if everyone acts like that with their heart, the whole will be a better place, and for sure the industry.
Thank you so much, Michael. And if anyone has any questions or would like any comments, you can certainly reach out. My contact information is at the top of the screen. And please feel free to reach out either to myself or to Michael. And we'll see you on our next session of Lifestyle Toronto. And once again, Michael, thank you very, very much.
Thank you too. Speak soon.
Take care. Bye bye.